My name is Hind. I grew up in a traditional home where my mother fought for my education, and I never let her down. I succeeded and pursued the career I always dreamed of. My story began the day I posted a photo on Instagram. Amidst the sea of likes, one message stood out. It was from Omar. At first, I was indifferent, but his persistent kindness won me over. We fell into a deep, digital love built on long nights of talking and shared dreams. As time passed, Omar revealed a painful truth. His tribe had strict traditions. They strictly forbade marrying outside their own bloodline. Faced with this impossible reality, we made the heartbreaking decision to part ways. We chose Saturday to be our final goodbye. But when Saturday came, Omar couldn't let go. He messaged me that evening, broken and desperate, saying he couldn't live without me and wanted me to be his wife, no matter the cost. I told him it was impossible without family approval. Omar fought his family until they gave a cold, cruel consent. We will recognize the marriage, but we will never attend and we will never acknowledge her. Terrified of losing him, I agreed to hide the truth from my mother. I told her he was a suitor from a prestigious family. Omar arrived with a friend. We signed the marriage contract, and just like that, I was his wife. But the celebration I dreamed of was replaced by a lie. Once you have a baby, he promised, they will finally accept you. Following his plan, I lied to my mother again, saying we had to leave immediately for a honeymoon. She blessed me with a pure heart, even offering to throw a wedding I had to refuse. My brother drove me to the airport, and as I looked at him, the guilt almost choked me. I wanted to scream the truth, but I stayed silent. We moved to a lonely apartment in a new city. There, my struggle began, not with the tribe, but with my own body. PCOS and endless treatments became my life, all for the hope that a child would finally be my key to being accepted by his family. The dream finally came true. I gave birth to my son, Ahmed. My mother was by my side in the hospital, glowing with joy while I waited for Omar's family to walk through the door. But Omar took me aside and whispered coldly, "My family isn't coming." I collapsed inside. When my mother suggested a grand celebration and a banquet for her grandson, Omar refused aggressively, terrified that his family's absence would expose our lie to my relatives. My mother snapped at him. "My daughter didn't have a wedding, and I won't let her be robbed of the joy of her firstborn. My daughter and my grandson come before everything." Omar stormed out, leaving a trail of questions and heartache behind him. We returned home, and with every sunrise, I asked Omar the question that was burning my chest. "Isn't it time for your parents to see Ahmed? Didn't you promise that his birth would be the key to their recognition?" He avoided answering every time, and with every evasion, my heart was torn to pieces. Then came the day the mask fell, and Omar's true face was revealed. He came to me with a deadly coldness to tell me his mother's condition. "My mother told me that if you want us to recognize your marriage and your son, I must marry the girl they choose for me. Otherwise, they will never acknowledge you." My shock was beyond words. I cried hysterically and asked about my fate, only for him to answer even more coldly, "This is the only solution. I will marry her just to force them to accept you." I could not endure such humiliation. I screamed in his face, packed my clothes, carried my child, and left that house for my only sanctuary, my mother's home. The moment she saw me, her heart knew something terrible had happened. I threw myself into her arms and told her everything. Despite my grave mistake in hiding the truth from her before, she embraced me. She even called Omar's mother, rebuking her. Fear God. What you are doing pleases no one. But her cry fell on deaf ears. Omar continued to visit his son, and we later learned that he had indeed married. One day he dared to show up with his new wife to take Ahmed. I rose like a wounded lioness, preventing him from even touching my child, despite everyone's pressure. At that moment, the dignity of my motherhood was above everything else. Omar kept visiting, trying to convince me to return. "You're the first wife, and she is the second," he would say. But my broken heart no longer accepted half solutions. One quiet night, I asked myself, why am I still married to a man who humiliated me, tortured me, and married someone else? In the morning, I made my final decision. I went to court and filed for divorce, Kula. I called him and said with unwavering firmness, "Omar, I have started the divorce proceedings." His response was cold as usual. "Fine." That evening, my mother surprised me by saying that Omar and his father were coming to visit. At first, I strictly refused to see them. I wondered bitterly, where was his father all this time? Why did they only remember our existence now? I dressed in my finest clothes, applied light makeup, and went down to meet the delegation I never expected to see. There sat Omar, my brother, my mother, and Omar's father, whom I had never met before. His father broke the silence. "My daughter, Omar loves you and wants to reunite the family. You have a good heart. Do not let stubbornness stand in the way. I am a witness to his sincere desire." I looked at Omar. His face was flushed, and his eyes were drowning in tears of regret. But my heart had already made its choice. I answered him calmly and firmly. "Uncle, I have settled the matter. Omar no longer has a place in my life." I turned that page and moved on to create a new life for myself. I got a job with a great salary, took care of my appearance, started exercising, and traveled with my child to compensate him for every moment of sadness. I allowed Omar to see Ahmed with class and grace, so as not to give him another chance to break my pride. Days went by, and Ahmed caught a severe fever. We treated him, thinking it was just a passing illness. One day, I returned from work to find neither my child nor my mother. The silence in the house was haunting. My heart was pounding as if foretelling a disaster. I called my brother, screaming and crying, "Where is my son?" He tried to calm me with a trembling voice. "It's just a fever, Hind. Mom and I are coming to you." The moment he said Mom and didn't mention Ahmed, the world went dark, and I fainted. I woke up in the hospital, searching for my child frantically until I reached his room. His tiny body was lost amidst machines and tubes that covered his features. I collapsed to my knees, shattered. When Ahmed opened his eyes and saw me, he began to cry, and my soul was torn apart between his hands. In that state of despair, I heard a familiar voice shouting in the hallway. It was Omar, bitterly rebuking everyone. "Why didn't you tell me? Why did you hide my son's illness from me?" He entered the room, and as soon as Ahmed saw him, a flicker of joy appeared on the child's exhausted face. In that moment, despite everything Omar had done, I wished I could keep him by my child's side, simply because it brought comfort to Ahmed. The doctors decided he must be transferred immediately to an international hospital in the city where Omar lived. due to the better facilities and a more accurate diagnosis for his critical condition. Our journey into the unknown had begun, carrying with it a faint hope for recovery. We moved to Omar's city. There it was decided that Ahmed needed surgery, but his young age prevented it. He had to remain under observation until he reached the age of 3. I refused to leave the hospital. His room became my home. Months passed. Omar and his mother visited daily, while my brother Murad was my pillar of strength, providing me with everything I needed. One afternoon, while I was soothing my crying child, I heard the clicking of high heels approaching the room. 2 women entered. One of them was Mesa, Omar's new wife. Her face was marked by plastic surgery, and she was visibly 7 months pregnant. With utter arrogance, Mesa pointed at my child and said, "So this is Ahmed. I am Omar's wife." She then began showering me with poisonous words. "You are divorced. Stay away from my husband. Your son is fine. He's faking it. Go back to your city. I hope he never recovers." I couldn't endure the ugliness of her words. I lost my temper, grabbed her by the hand to force her out, and she began screaming while clutching her stomach. Omar's mother arrived and tried to calm the situation, excusing her behavior as pregnancy hormones. But when Omar arrived and lashed out at her, I screamed at everyone with bitterness. "Allah is my suffice and the best disposer of affairs against you all. You didn't acknowledge his existence until he fell ill, and now you claim to love him." After that cry, which released all my bottled up pain, I fell into a deep sleep, as if my soul needed those words to finally find rest. In the morning, I saw Omar. His eyes were bloodshot from exhaustion and weeping. He told me with deep regret, "If only you had agreed to return the day my father came, I could have spent more time with my son." I didn't answer him. What was the point of words now? The doctor took Ahmed for scans, but the wait grew long, hours of agonizing suspense. Then I saw a crowd, my family and Omar's, my aunts and brothers, all walking toward me with grim, silent faces. My chest tightened. As my brother Murad approached, I asked with a trembling heart, "Where is my son? Is he gone?" His words struck me like a thunderbolt. "To Allah we belong, and to Him we return." I let out a scream that echoed through the entire place. Then a sharp ringing filled my ears. The world went dark, and I lost consciousness. In those funeral moments, everyone was drowning in tears. Omar, his mother, and my brother Murad. My aunt and brother urged me to see Ahmed one last time so that I wouldn't be haunted by regret later. I entered the room with heavy steps. My little angel was sleeping in peace, his face regaining the serenity that the illness had stolen. I kissed his cold forehead and wept bitterly as I bid farewell to every inch of his face. In the corner of the room, Omar was collapsed on the floor, sobbing in a way that tore at my heart, while his mother tried to comfort him in vain. When they came to take his pure body, I felt my soul being ripped out of me. I asked my brother to take me back to our city immediately. I rushed into my mother's arms and told her with bitterness, "Ahmed is gone, Mother. He is gone forever." I sought refuge in sleep to escape an unbearable reality. I sank into a dark sadness that I couldn't escape without the help of a psychiatrist and the strength of the Quran. Slowly, I began to regain my balance, but the image of Omar weeping remained etched in my memory. Days later, I heard a commotion in our house. Omar's mother had come to visit despite my brother Murad's objections. I went down to meet her, and she greeted me with tears of remorse, saying, "You are a blessing of a girl, and you are the wisest among us. You are a mother, and you understand what I am about to say." She showed me a heartbreaking photo of Omar. He was sleeping while clutching and smelling my old veil, hijab. She told me he had stopped speaking to her and had divorced his wife, Mesa, after she left him with their infant son, Sami, and walked away. In the hands of Omar's mother was a small child, Sami, the brother of my late son, Ahmed. In that moment, my maternal instinct stirred. I hugged him tightly as if I could smell my own son in him. Omar's mother offered for me to return to my husband, promising the most lavish wedding, everything I could wish for in a dowry and a formal apology from his father. I set my only condition. If I return, I will raise Sami as if he were the son I never gave birth to. She left me to think. Meanwhile, my brother Murad exploded in anger, reminding me of all the humiliation and injustice I had endured, warning me that these people do not change and are only exploiting our kindness. I stand now at a crossroads, between a heart that sees in Sami an extension of Ahmed and a chance to mend what was broken with Omar, and a mind represented by my brother Murad, who fears for me from a hole I have already been bitten from twice. I lost my son to a heartless tradition. I thought my story ended at the cemetery, until my ex-mother-in-law showed up at my door. She wasn't alone. She was holding a baby and a photo of my ex-husband sleeping with my old veil. They want me back, not as a wife, but as a savior for a child left behind by the woman who destroyed me. Is it a miracle or a trap? This is my story.